Okay, hello. Alright, well, I got like 25 minutes into recording this, but I only went through like the first two games, and honestly, I think I played pretty shit in both of them. So, besides at the beginning of tournaments, try to wake up as fast as possible so you don't take random game actions. I don't think there was much to learn from them. I think I got through game one, and there was actually one interesting point during this game. You know what? I'll go over it again. It was a bit more interesting than the other ones. Because I made a play that ended up working out that I don't know if it was correct. So I'm going to fast forward most of this, or through most of this. I generally just took game actions, played my cards at reasonable intervals. Everything I did here made some amount of sense. Besides maybe this early game, I was supposed to play my cards in a different way. Instead of jamming my guys, but jamming my guys is what my brain told me to do, so I decided to do that. They also screwed up a couple of things in sequencing, but yeah, so some stuff happens, some stuff happens, some stuff happens. Can I pause? Oh shit, did I fast forward so many times? Okay, well it's coming up if it'll actually stop. Sorry if it's going too fast. Okay, this was the moment it just fast forwarded through it. Okay, so let's pause here. Sorry for going way too fast. Okay, essentially, I don't know why. I guess I clicked this button way too many times. So this was a 4-5, right? A 4-5, my opponent's at 3 with the ability to crack a food. And also, Dude, what the fuck is my opponent doing? My opponent was not playing this well. They're dead on board even if they cracked this food. And they could have just cracked a blood to look for it. Okay, whatever. This guy's delusional, doesn't matter. Anyways, so what ended up happening is my hand was, it's a 4-5. I top deck Defiant Strike in this spot. They have a Croxa in their graveyard, which I honestly think they should have cast earlier, but besides the point, it might have been fine. So I draw this Defiant Strike, and basically I have two choices. I can Defiant Strike main phase to give myself the extra out of drawing an Ancestral Anger, or I can move to combat, attack, and see if they block or not, and then if they don't block, I can Defiant Strike, and just straight up kill them. And the decision is basically, do I think they block, or do they not block? I thought that the decision was close enough to the point where they would probably audible to block, because that's what most people do when they're in a situation where it feels like either decision could be correct, is they take the one that leads to them not immediately dying, whether or not it's actually optimal. Right, because if this is left up, the following turn just goes copy with Reflection of Kiki Jiki, kill my guy. Right, because they have this. That's just straight, this is just enough to kill my Hoplite, and then I'm dead, right? So it's whether or not they put me on a Defiant Strike or a Monstrous Rage. And there's multiple factors for why they wouldn't block, but I think that they're probably just because they're dead to Monstrous Rage anyway, so Defiant Strike's the only thing that actually straight up kills them. And I only had 2 left in my deck. But this guy was playing hella sus the whole game, and I wasn't sure how reliable of a thing that was, especially because if they live this turn, they might think that they're in a good enough position to just basically not die to a random 2-outer that ended up drawing into. I mean, obviously, like I could have. There's multiple things I could have done to win this game this turn, or drawn. But Defiant Strike was the only one that was hidden from him. So the decision was basically like, do I think they're gonna block? I decided that I thought they might block more than they were gonna let it through on average, because they had been playing really weird all game, to be completely honest. And I think most players probably, like most very good players, don't block, but multiple times this game, my opponent had been doing weird shit. And I'm like, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do this main phase. I think they might do this. They might think that, oh my god, Heroic is so crazy, but like they can kill me if I don't block this. But it's just not true. Whatever. So I decide to do a main phase. I get basically rewarded to the maximum. I draw Ancestral Anger, kill them. I don't know if this is actually good or not. Also, they cracked a food here instead of cracking one of their bloods to look for a Fatal Push, which was funny because they were just dead here. This is an 8-7, and they were at 3. They go up to 6. They block, go to 0. If they crack up, they'll look for Fatal Push. So yeah, I don't know. that was that. I don't remember game 2 being too super interesting. This was a game versus Atraxa in Neoform. I don't remember it being too entertaining. I just remember, like, this matchup, I don't think is very good for Heroic. Nobody really plays the deck, though. And they got stuck on a weird one-lander with only Mana Confluence in it. Like, they cast another world, they gave bricked on the land and draw it, etc. So yeah, that was that game. This was round 5 versus Rakdos midrange. Round 1 wasn't very interesting. I kept a hand that was kind of suspicious, but it felt like I couldn't really... I think what ended up happening is just didn't really pan out super well, and then they had like a pretty good draw. I accidentally clicked on it, but I'm not going to play that game. I'll play game 2. I don't remember exactly what happens in these games, but I'm going to take it a bit slower this time, so maybe get a better representation of what's going on. So I'm mulligan to 5 this game, which kind of blows. So this decision here, I decided to put back the Hoplite in the Swiftspear. I'm in a position versus Rakdos where I need all my cards to be high impact. I need them to all do something, so I have the choice of either keeping the Hoplite, but the Hoplite's really weird with the mana because I can't go Hoplite, hold a Defiant Strike, so I can't even blank a Stomp if I want to. So I could keep Swiftspear, but Swiftspear isn't that great. So I decided to just go ahead and ship the Hoplite Swiftspear, go tap land on 1 into Dreadhorde Arcanist on 2. I thought that was my best angle of attack. So they go Hive. They don't have a Thoughtseize, thankfully, and then I just jam my Arcanist. If they have a push, they have a push. I'm in a spot where I can't really respect it super hard, so... And then I just go 10th District Legionnaire. And this is a quick MTGO tip. So I think they might have a Stomp, right? They might have something. You know, I look at my hand, what the hell am I going to do? I'm not going to add Giganta to hand, especially on a turn before they can go, like, Fable or something. I guess that actually is an argument to add Giganta to hand. Because if they go tap out for 3-drop, then I can land my Legionnaire and go Defiant Strike on it with no punish. So I could have just gone Giganta. But I felt that, I remember their list was playing 2 Heartless Act, so that, like, instead of more normal removal spells. So the only thing that could have actually killed my guy here was one of 3 fatal if they had another one of their 4 fatal pushes, or if they had one of their go for the throats. So I'm like, all right, fuck it, this is probably fine. I could have gone add Giganta past the turn, and if they go 3-drop, I can go this Defiant Strike, look for stuff. But I decided to do this. And something really notable I did is I was holding the 1 button, which made it so I instantly pass priority as soon as priority comes back to me, except for when I was going to combat, so I can actually attack with my guy. And then I have my 1 button held down in order to try to bluff that I'm F6, right? Or make it seem like I don't have anything, so that when my opponent goes to try to stomp me, or if they have stomp, they're like, okay, sure, I think I can get away with this because my opponent doesn't have anything in their hand because they're F6. So they go to stomp, and then I just Defiant Strike and don't break it because it still gets exiled, but brick the adventure, or brick the kill spell aspect of it. They were tanking on it for a bit, and I think that might have had an influence on whether or not they actually cast a spell. It might not have, because it's kind of risk-free in this kind of thing, where if I got... It's just not that big of a deal if I counter a Stomp, because they still get the Bone Crusher Giant. So I'm in a spot, okay, wonder what they're going to do, and the Gem Fable, which is pretty good. And then Upkeep, I'm thinking, I need more action. I need to kill my opponent. They have this, they have these things ticking down. Also, the reason why I decided to play this is because a long game versus Rakdos doesn't work. If I go, like, add Giganta to hand, start playing this game, and they go Shieldred, like, I'm just dead. I can't win anymore. So I felt that this was, like, an okay middle ground to just get my guy down, even though they might be able to, you know, they can play Fable. But, you know, I only got 2 more damage in because of that. You know, that 2 damage matters. And it also was able to, you know, turn off their Stomp. And so what ends up happening is I keep Monstrous Rage on top of the Scry. There's no real reason not to, besides, you know, if they draw a removal spell, it's brutal, but I'm playing Heroic. My opponent has 4 cards in hand. I have to just hope. And hoping works out. They discard Thoughtseize Duress to their Fable and play their Bone Crusher Giant from exile. I decided to go attack here because playing the 10th District doesn't actually do much of anything. And then I just go hatching out to the hand. And this turn, they obviously don't have anything, otherwise I would have played it differently. I might have been supposed to go 10th District Legionnaire first. I don't remember if they had Shieldred's Edict in their list. If they had Shieldred's Edict somewhere in their list, I was supposed to go 10th District Legionnaire in order to check for That's before I cast my God's Willing, but they didn't have it, and they might not have even had it in their list. And then now they're exactly dead, because if they fire a Paul, they go to 0. Just to give it pro red. So that was that game. Whenever I go back and look at these games, I'm still questioning. Because obviously the damage mattered a lot this game. Like the fact that I got that 2 damage and pretty much won me the game. And I guess I'm curious whether or not I was still supposed to just add Giganta anyway. Because if they untap with this Reflection of Kiki Chiki, it didn't just win me the game. They could have just drawn nothing again for turn and died. But it certainly helped that I have a... The way I played it certainly helped the outcome of the game become that. Whether or not it was actually the right way to go, that's up for debate. But I felt that I needed to kill them, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to play my guy, and I'm going to protect it from Stomp. Because this matchup is all about making as much of their things as dead as possible. It's not really about... Because you can't play around everything. You just have to say, okay, I have a hand where I can make your Stomps not live, and I can make your Heartless Axe not live. And it's like, okay, if you have 2 out of the 6 cards that you're playing, so like if you have 2 Fatal Pushes, or like a Fatal Push that you're going to go for the throat, sure, you got me. I can't play around that kind of thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play in a way where I move the 12 removal spells they have down to 6. So this was a very weird game where in match 1, or in game 1 versus this guy, they do the same thing. They insta-push my Swiftspear, don't think about it. So this didn't necessarily mean that they have a billion pieces of removal in their hand. Also, this is a really good time to force something to happen. Because what happens if I wait a turn on this Hoplite is that, let's say, they go jam 3-drop attack with their Blood Tithe Harvester. I go play my Hoplite, they have a Fable and play, kill their thing, I have a 2-3 in play. They go, like, untap, jam a Shieldred or some shit. I just can't... The game becomes so difficult. Having this in play early on is enough of a tempo gain, especially when they're getting to their 3-drop turn, combined with the possibility that I can draw another creature here, makes it worth it for me to just say, fuck you, I'm playing the Hoplite out. Because this Fatal Push might indicate to some people that, oh, he's light on removal, but the fact he has this Blood Tithe doesn't even mean that's true, because he might be thinking, okay, now if they go Luminaire Virtuoso, it bricks that as well. So I can jam this Fatal Push on the Swiftspear in order to make it so that they can't Reckless Rage my guy or do this and that. So I figured, fuck it, if that's not what's going to happen. I decided to Reckless Rage instead of hold any of these up for obvious reasons, because if I pass the turn back and they have Stomp, then I get fucked because they go try to kill my thing, I go God's Willing or Monstrous Rage, they stomp me, I get screwed. Whereas if I do it this way, I kill their Hoplite off and I play around Stomp. If they have one of the things I mentioned, then they fuck it, they have one of the things. Luckily, they didn't have a removal spell, they just straight up cast a Bone Crusher Giant, and now they're dead. Like, they're in a position where this Lord's Escape was very helpful as well. Just, you know, a third piece of protection is pretty good. I have the Rage. Start getting in there. What would have happened this game if I hadn't done the thing that I did? If I had waited a turn, I would have done the same thing. This would have died. They would have played their guy. But now they'd be at 20. Right? That's not a position where I'm actually that favored. So getting my dude into play really was the difference this game. And then I draw Swiftspear, which is a pretty good draw. I'm at 12, and then they have an Archfiend at the draw, so it shouldn't matter that much. I believe I went ahead and upkeep the God's Willing to give it pro-black, so they're forced to block it with the Bone Crusher. And then I bought him the Showdown because it doesn't actually do much. And this is a pretty good draw, because that means if they play any black creature, they're dead. They had to play Fable into their Bone Crusher to actually prevent themselves from dying. Fable doesn't actually do it, because I have enough damage. But yeah, they play Shieldred, they give it pro-black, and they die. So if I hadn't played this the way I had, I don't know if I win this game, just because I think they would have had enough time to kill me before I'm able to actually put this threat into play. So yeah, I don't, you know, maybe it wasn't even correct. I think it was actually correct. I think that the way I evaluated this game was actually really well. This was a very well played game in a position where I'm not sure if most people would have done what I did this game. I think maybe more people would have been really scared and not realize that they have to kill their opponent. Or they obviously, everybody realizes they have to kill their opponent at some point, but you have to do stuff sometimes. You can't just say, I'm going to wait forever, I'm going to wait forever. Versus Phoenix, you got to wait forever. That's how that matchup works. You sit there with your stupid hoplite, you wait till turn 3, wait till turn 4, play your thing, hold up 3 instants. If they go Fiery Impulse, I don't know, fuck you, Defiant Strike, fuck you, Monstrous Rage. Nice Lightning Axle, God's Willing, you know? Like, that's how you want to play that matchup. But versus Red-Black, they can turn the corner so fast, and you need to prevent that from happening by putting your things into play, even if it risks them having removal spells. So, yeah, that was that game. Yeah, one of the games that I analyzed earlier that I didn't go over, or that my mic was off for, was a game versus Victor Carvalho and Phoenix. I think I played it terribly, and one part where I almost lost the match because of it was because I played my Hoplite 1 turn too early. And that's just a reminder that you play your Hoplite, you don't need to play it on turn 2 with your 1 piece of instant backup. You can play it on turn 3 with your 2 pieces of instant backup. Versus Phoenix, they don't really have that much of a clock. They have Ledger Shredders, either your Reckless Rages or whatever. And even then, like, yeah, they don't really have a very fast clock. So you can afford to be patient to make sure that your Hoplite lives. Especially because, yeah, I mean, you just be patient with this card and matchup. Alright, going on to round 6, I think? This was versus 5-color mid-range. I remember this was kind of a stomp. I don't really know if there's anything worth going over in this game, but I'll go over it anyway because I forget what happened. So they were playing the 5-color Brain Delight list with like Omnaths, like 1 Elish, Norn, 4 Brain Delight, get, you know, Selfless Cliffweaver, Valky, that kind of deck. So I keep a pretty strong hand. I just go turn 1 Hoplite, no Rivers into my sandbag. They're playing 2 Chain of the Rocks, 3 Get Lost, 4 Binding this into this, by the way. So this was actually a very interesting point where I can either hold this or I cannot hold this. And I'm like, all right, they can have Get Lost, they can have Binding, but they have to have the right land for Binding, and they also have to have a mountain for the Chain of the Rocks. So all of the removal is somewhat conditional, and if their lands are awkward, I need to catch them stumbling this turn, and this is the perfect turn to do that. So I decided to do it like this. There's also the thing where I can be like, okay, they're a Fable deck, they want to play Fable on turn 3. Maybe I like wait until then, so it makes their turn. No, that actually doesn't check out because they're a Fable on 3 and a Rampant and Bring It On 5 wipe my board, so that doesn't work. Never mind. But Virtuoso on 2, I felt was a reasonable play here. They have to Get Lost, which is perfect. It's not perfect, but it's the best removal spell out of all the ones that I could have been facing. Because, you know, this puts counters on my guys. I see a Defiant Strike, and I think I keep it on top. It's not really too much reason to bottom it. And then I go just like Monstrous Rage. And I think I should have... yeah, I decided to Hoplite. That makes sense. And now they're just going to kind of blow up. I explore, I see, okay, I don't want this Swiftspear really. And then they don't really have any board wipes in their deck at 4 mana, so they just died. That's what I have here. See, that was that. The Swiftspear, or the Virtuoso one too, it had very high reward for what could have possibly happened. The Get Lost was nice. And it wasn't like if it died, I was in that much of a trouble. I just thought that it was a reasonable thing to play there over a Hoplite or something. Because it kind of warranted them to instantly kill it. I could do whatever I wanted. Okay, game 2. Alright, so this hand's just pretty solid. You know, it does all the things I needed to do. So I go Swiftspear on 1. I don't think much changed with their sideboard. Their sideboard didn't actually have very much for me. And they go turn 2 Beanstalk, which is pretty great. So I don't really want to run my 10th District Legionnaire out there. It's kind of my only creature. And I don't think they had any board wipes for me on 3. Unless they had a Radiant Flames in their list somewhere, but I don't remember if they did or not. So I just say, fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and cycle some things. Maybe look for a protection spell for my guy. And then I draw this and just say, fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and attack. Cast Monstrous Rage on my guy. I think was how I decided to do this turn. I might have Defiant Striked. Yeah, actually, that makes more sense. I need to save my Monstrous Rage. I don't need to, but I would like to save my Monstrous Rage for, oh. That's what I did. I wanted my 10th District Legionnaire to live. I don't actually think this was correct. I think I should have just played it, my Defiant Strike on my Legionnaire anyway. That was stupid. I decided to go ahead and Defiant Strike on my Swiftspear because I figured if they kill this, I'm happier and I want to get the redraw in. But I think that was silly. I think I should have just played on the Legionnaire because I have the second one in my hand. And I guess the thought process was if I have two of these, then if they kill one, I still have a heroic guy laying around. But yeah, that is actually a decent thought process where if they kill my Swiss Spear instead and I don't get to redraw, then my guy is still there. And then if I have another guy, then I have two guys, and then they have to kill both. So that was my logic there. So this is a pretty good turn where I just go Monstrous Rage, and I just go Defiant Strike. This was kind of aggressive. Oh, the reason why I went Defiant Strike is I want to just maximize my damage. I thought that maybe they could Bring to Light for a board wipe, kill my guy, and I'd be in trouble. But I saw a Scry, or I think I Scryed into the Get Lost off the Monstrous Rage, so I can put them to exactly 2. If they kill my guy somehow, I just Get Lost this, cast God's Will, and kill them exactly with the Swiss Spear. So that was my logic for why I went ahead and just cast the Defiant Strike instead of holding up God's Willing. And yeah, they do their thing, and then they get losted and die. And that was the game. Okay, so 6-0 going into this game versus Claudio. This was an interesting one. I did not end up winning this match. I don't remember how well I played this, but yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna rewind. I want to see the hand I mulligan there. So if I saw that hand correctly, oh, I remember. I had an opener that was fantastic, but it had 2 Reckless Rages in it, which is not a Magic the Gathering card versus them. So I'm like, okay, it wasn't that crazy of a hand. It was an Ancestral Anger, a tap land. Yeah, the fact that it was a tap land made it so that even though, you know, I have Reckless Rages, I didn't even have a Virtuoso to connive them away. I'm looking at this pile of garbage, and this hand is also not fantastic versus them, but it's alright. It's not great into the sweepers. I decided to not keep double Virtuoso. I'm not sure how I feel about the decision, actually, because of how my hand curves out. I think I might as well keep the second Virtuoso. I ended up being okay with what I had in my hand. I didn't end up Defiant Striking here. I didn't want to just walk in a random march and lose instantly. That felt unnecessary. And they play land, pass a turn, and I draw another Reckless Rage, which is funny considering what I said about the first hand that I mulliganed. So yeah, this is looking kind of bad, but luckily I have this Virtuoso if I need to connive shit away. But it has to resolve first. That's the hard part. They cycle Typhoon for 1. Which, it's a target for Reckless Rage, but that doesn't mean much here. Marching my guy. Still sitting on this Defiant Strike. I want to go ahead and use it on this Virtuoso to connive away this Reckless Rage, get some more value out of it. Try to go attack. And then if they have a Wandering Emperor, it's fine. So I do this and they just counter it, which is not great, but whatever. They play land for turn. I just jam into it. I mean, if they want to animate their land and kill it, go ahead. And then I just jam my Virtuoso, and I believe... I shouldn't have tapped for red there, by the way. That was really stupid. I tapped for red just in response to the thing, but the problem is how I did it there. Tapping for red, basically, it taps me out of God's Willing until the Field of Ruin trigger resolves, and then they can just exile this with no repercussions. Or no seeming repercussions. So if they have that, they want to do that. And then at this point, I decide to fire off my Defiant Strike to go ahead and get rid of this thing and cycle my cards. So... Stonering me again, which was brutal. And then I get 10 block down. It was also brutal. I draw a land, I think I just YOLO it here. They have 4 cards in hand and I can't really respect anything, and then they have a march and I die. So that was that game. They drew something eventually. I don't remember exactly what happened in game 2. I think they drew kind of shit, if I remember correctly. Oh shit, go back. Oh yeah, this was a stupid game. I think I won this game on turn 10. So I keep this kind of sketch hands. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if this was good. I have no creature, which is obviously a bit of a red flag, but it has Showdown, Get Lost, and some of these. And so what I was thinking about with this hand is that it breaks a lot of hands that they would keep, where it's just like Temp, Lockdown, Verdict. There's a lot of things that this set of cards can play around very easily. Was my thought process, and if I ever drew a creature, I could start doing things right. Like, it wasn't the worst hand in the world. So I decided, you know, I ended up drawing lands for turn, which is not bad with the hand that I have. I don't mind just going land go. Draw another land, and I was thinking about just playing the Showdown, but I decided there was no reason to, because I can go play my Giganta, and then if they have like a Make Disappear, it doesn't matter. If they had Make Disappear plus change the equation, it kind of sucked, because they could Make Disappear this and change the equation here, but things that weren't that happened. I also think I misplayed this game pretty heavily, actually. There's a couple cards that I played in at times where I was not supposed to play them. So I just go Jam Showdown, they have changed the equation, or Joven's Veto, I think, yeah. So it died. And then this was loose. So the reason why I did this is because I really didn't want to walk it into a counterspell. Like, I didn't want that to get changed the equation on, but it doesn't actually help much, because then they can just remove that and then kill this. That is equally worse. Like, they changed the equation this, and now what am I doing? I think I ended up drawing a Swiss Spear and getting out of the lock after just saying fuck it and casting my Defiant Strike on it. I kind of had a vibe that they didn't have much going on at this point, because they missed their land drop for like 4 turns. I got very lucky this game. It was kind of sloppily played in terms of, like, the keep was a little bit suspicious, but the 10th district that turn was really not it, I think. Even though it would have been similar to what happened where they went March. Because it would have been the exact same thing, but I might have gotten more draws off. And so there was no reason to Virtuoso first. That was stupid. I should have just attacked and seen what happened. Or instead of see what, or tried to see what would happen. And at this point in the game, I'll also just have vibes if nothing. I go ahead and, because at this point I wanted to draw into a God's Billing or something to protect me from Wandering Emperor. And I draw into Homesite cards, which does that job. And then they go ahead and show me this, which means I have nothing. Not a big neon sign. So, yeah, and then I kill him. So that's this game. I just realized I have my desktop sounds on. A lot of people get mad at me for having MTGO noises. But I don't know, I like them. So yeah, this is game 3. This hand's alright. I think I ship a Hoplite. Yep. So they go to Zerta Beach on 1. Doesn't tell me a crazy amount, besides maybe they have no 1-drop in their hands, but it usually tells me, or they're short on lands. So this was super interesting to me. This read like, okay, this guy has a bunch... This guy's a Temp Lockdown, and this... Oh, this game was brutal now that I remember it. This was so brutal. So this is obviously screaming, I have a slow hand that just goes Lockdown into threat or whatever. And so I was alright with this because I have this Get Lost in my hand that can answer this. So I don't remember exactly what happens. I think I go attack, and then they go Wandering Emperor? They might go Deluge this turn. I don't remember exactly what happens. Yeah, they go end of turn Emperor minus on this, I think is what happens. Oh, okay, they go Deluge. Never mind. They do something in which I'm forced to God's Billing, and it changes how I play the turn out, I think. So I don't do anything this turn. I didn't want to go ahead and God's Willing and try to push damage that turn. So I draw this, which is pretty solid. And then I think now they went a Ganjo, and then I go this. So I see Showdown on top of my library, right? This gets countered, and my thing dies, which kind of sucked. But it's okay, I have my dudes here. So I have 2 options. I can either kill it now and get fucked by another sweeper, but it plays around a counterspell. Or I can wait. And then if they have counterspell, it's okay, because I can slam my Showdown. Whereas, I guess the other... Because what ends up happening is if I slam my Showdown the following turn, and they had to change the equation from whatever threat I drew up the Showdown, it'd be a bit weird. Whereas if I do it this way, like if I go kill, the lockdown now, I don't think they missed a land drop this game, so they can just go land Sweeper Hold Up Counterspell for my showdown, and I'm still just fucked. So I decided, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and respect their, like, the possibility of having a sweeper. And I'm going to end step get lost this. And if they counter it, then I can probably resolve my showdown unless they have something else. So what happened is they forgot that I can have stuff. They didn't realize I had this, or they probably realized I had it in my deck, but they weren't thinking about it as a thing that I could cast. And I'm like, all right, if they, and then they're F6. They were straight up F6 at that point in the game. And I'm like, all right, so this is free. I kill this, and then I ask them in chat later, after this incident resolves, I cast Showdown. I'm thinking this is probably resolving. They were F6, and also, yeah, like they probably don't have anything here. And this gets fucking changed the equation, which pissed me off. Like this, if that resolves, I probably win the game, right? Even if I don't have these creatures in play. This matchup is a really weird one where I think if that happened, I probably am winning the game, depending on what I hit off my Showdown. If I brick on the creatures or something, it's terrible, but if I hit like 2 creatures, the game was probably over there. So that pissed me off. I asked him later, like, did you accidentally F6 through my thing? And he's like, yeah, I actually F6 through it. And I also asked him, would you have countered it had you had the chance? And he said, maybe. Because the thing, right, I honestly don't know if he was even supposed to counter it. So fair play to him if that was, like, actually, like, you know, I don't think he did do some 7-head shit. But the fact that he was F6 there really screwed me over. Because he had another temp lockdown in hand. I think if this favorite hoplite was a Swift Spear, I think he was probably correct to counter. But I think it's unlikely that I can deal 13 damage in this situation with just a Legionnaire and a hoplite. I can maybe upkeep, I don't know, upkeep Monstrous Rage, but they still have the counterspell in their hand, so they could just counter with like a random threat and then temp lock down me again. So it's reasonable to say, fuck you, I'm just not going to counter it and F6 through, so that if I do end up casting it, then I can do this kind of thing. Where I think this is safe. But yeah, that made me sad. So what ends up happening is I do end up losing this game because I go attack. I don't think much happens. They go like Cycle Shark Typhoon into Temp Block down the following turn, and they don't draw much and die, if I remember correctly what happens. Yeah, the third God's Willing obviously doesn't help me much. And then it's a Fairy, I think, and this one's over. So I was 6-1. And then here's a quick stomp versus Mono Black. Because I played against Mono Black and they got completely destroyed. Which, this matchup seemed horrendous. I was wondering, like, okay, I was high enough on breakers where even if I lost, it didn't really matter, I think. But I won the challenge on Friday after getting into top 8 on breakers. I'm like, I want to top 8 an event this weekend without getting in on breakers. So I wanted to win this, just for morale. So, but I was kind of disappointed when I saw that it was Mono Black, because a list with, like, I don't know, 3 Shielders Edict and 3 Liliana the Veil is not really what Heroic wants to see. Right, so I keep a pretty good hand, all things considered. I get Duress, which isn't too much. I keep my Homestead Courage, and I draw Defiant Strike, jam my guy. So they go ahead and kill my thing. I probably just go land go, because if I jam this and they Lily, I lose the game, but losing the game is not as good as winning the game. And also, they do this and tap out a removal. So this way, I go 10th District. No, this is better. I just go Hoplite, and I think I load it up. And then if they have something, then I can just go 10th District, Defiant Strike, kill their Lily, or force a jump here. So I said, fuck it, I'm going to make my guy massive. They might have removal, they might not have removal, but regardless, I think this is not a terrible use of resource. I think it might have been better to not flash back my thing. It's reasonable to leave this in the graveyard, but I was a bit, you know, there's still just a graveyard glutton in play. But they couldn't have really attacked to eat it because I had, you know, a Hoplite in play preventing that from happening. So I figured that if they had a removal spell for it... Yeah, wait, that was the logic, never mind. If they had a removal spell for it, then my thing was going to get exiled from my graveyard anyway. And so if I wanted to cast anything, I may as well just go ahead and cast it then. That was my logic. So they end up having nothing. They just go land, go. I'm like, oh, okay. Fuck it. I don't think they have much. I don't think, probably. They go block here. I just go Defiant Strike to test the water, see what's going on. Nothing happens, and so I just Monstrous Rage, and then they get screwed. They draw off a Castle Lock thing, I think. And then now they're super low. And in a bit of trouble. We're at 11, don't have much going on. I think this just straight up killed them. Or no, they have high, so they go high block, they go to 1, and then I'd kill them. See, that was the game. I had Giganta to hand. They don't do much of anything. See, that was game 1. Game 2 was another stomp. It's the thing about these decks that you would think have a good matchup in Heroic. Like, sometimes you don't draw the removal spells you need, and you just get steamrolled. Because Heroic has draws that can just do that to you. And this hand, when I saw this, I was very happy. This is the perfect hand for this kind of deck. All the hasters are great. You have the 1-drop to maybe get under some of their stuff. I decided to go ahead and just slam the Swiss Spear here. I don't remember my exact logic, besides I didn't want this to happen. Like, something like this. I figured that I valued my Hoplite more than a Swiss Spear in this situation, so... I did lose out a little bit of damage potentially, but I thought that having my Hoplite dodge the first removal spell is very important. Oh, also, they can have edicts, right? So they can have stuff like Shielder's Edict, and I figured that this would live if I have this in play first, and I can make sure this lives with an edict. So this was very interesting. I end up just going attack like this. I don't do anything, don't cast my Monstrous Rages, because it doesn't actually do much for me. In terms of, like, I can just do it next turn. They miss a land drop on turn 3, but they draw their land, and I have a bunch of Monstrous Rages. So I go swing out, double Monstrous Rage, my favorite Hoplite, their thing dies. They get knocked super low. Yeah, they go to, like, 8, and then they have to deal with all of this, which is not impossible. I think they had Extinction Event in their deck, post-board. But they missed their land drop on turn 3, so they would have to draw the land plus the Extinction Event. I think they do draw their land this turn, but they don't have the Sweeper. Or no, they don't. They don't have shit. Okay, so they just go Lily, sack, and then... That's obviously not good enough. I just go add Giganta to hand attack, kill the Liliana, put them to 4. And then, yeah. They do end up finding a Sweeper, but I don't believe it was enough this game. Because I rip a Showdown of the Scalds, but I also still have the Scalds Milling, so if they needed an Edict effect, I don't really do anything. And then, yeah, 10th Richard Legionnaire is pretty bad for my opponent, because, you know, it's basically Edict or bust for them at this point. And then I think I draw something else that was good? No, I just go 10th District, and then I go God's Milling, God's Milling. They don't have the Shielder's Edict, and I win the game. See, that was that. Oh, they had the end, which is not good. See, that was that one. I had a rematch against Raxac. Guess I'll go over that. Okay, well, that hand wasn't keepable, as you could have seen. I think I had a Spikefield Hazard was the other card in that hand. Let me restart the game, actually. I don't remember what I bottomed. I didn't see what I bottomed. Okay, no, I bottomed a Ancestral Anger, I believe. Ancestral Anger just, it didn't do much with this hand. I really like Reckless Rage. It's just a card. It's pretty useful in this matchup. Okay, this was a turn where I was super conflicted. I don't know if I made the right call, because this feels kind of weird, obviously. I'm playing versus Raxac in a position where they can still have Claim the Oven, or Claim the Firstborn, which is Oven. If I go ahead and play Red Source 10th Richard Legionnaire, my mana is so unbelievably awkward. But the thing about it is that I can just go ahead and go Defiant Strike and Scry and look for a land to draw. But if they... No, that's the problem. If they kill that, then I'm in a weird spot where I don't really have much pressure. I have a 1-2 Hoplite, and if I brick on something, like if I draw another random white spell, I'm just doing nothing. I'm like, okay, fuck. I think what I'm going to do is I have this Gunswing in my hand. I'm just going to Defiant Strike. And maybe I'm just going to see what I draw off of this, right? Because I'm in a weird spot. I want more information, and what I have currently is just not it. I draw another Defiant Strike, so I'm like, alright, I'm just going to play this one white. Fuck it. See what happens. Because even if I have to draw a red line, it's like an okay thing. And then go Thoughtseize and take my Defiant Strike and do this. Okay, well, fuck. And I do draw the red line, which is very well timed. So now they're in a weird spot where I think they go Devil here, but... Obviously, I can still just attack what's going on, but I rip a Homestead card like a boss. And then I just, like, split it up here, I think. No, I didn't. I decided to not split it up. I don't remember exactly why I didn't. Oh, no. Never mind. I wanted to leave a God's Willing. That was why I did this. I forgot that I only had one Whispers. So, yeah, they go to do this. I go protect it. I bottomed the Virtuoso there. I feel like the chance of them being able to kill both is not that likely, and I wanted to make sure my dude was jacked as possible. I think a Blood Titan. I think this was lethal because, yeah, this was just straight up lethal. Because I go flashback my thing, move to combat, then go attack, I go like here and I die. Yeah, so that was game 1. Didn't do anything too interesting besides that weird play on turn 2 where I was like, I don't want a Legionnaire, I want to cast this Defiant Strike. I don't know if that was correct, but that was just what I instinctually thought, I guess. My brain was like, I should do this, and I did that. It's one of those things where it looks weird. I think it looks weird, but... And I don't know if there's a better play there. And I won the challenge and I won the Manatraders, so I think I'm doing something right, even if I don't really realize what I'm doing right. Okay. This was game 2. I think I lost this game. I don't remember this being, if this was close or not, or if I fucked it up. What's this game 2? Yeah, they're on the place. This is game 2. So this hand is okay. Find my guy. I think my plan was to go Arcanist on 3. That was what I wanted to do with this hand. They go Oven Catch or whatever. And then, yeah, I just go tapping because I'm going to go Arcanist plus Lauren's Escape. Which is a bit of a... Because I was thinking, oh, I can go Showdown. It's a bit problematic, though, because, I mean, they did have the removal spell for it there, and something that you'll notice is that I did it on turn 2, or what did I on turn 2? And that's like when they're going to go untap turn 3. They want to go Devil. They want to... Oh, wait, that was what the problem was. They had this, so if they went untap Devil, I got fucking destroyed. So even if they go untap 3-drop, it's not actually that good for me, and because this is just going to die anyway, so... Yeah, that was why I did what I did. That's why I decided to play it on 3. And then they do have the Devil, and I'm like, okay, well, fuck. And I figured that my current hand doesn't do enough to do this. I go ahead and Showdown, because I'm just looking for a removal spell for the Devil at this point. I really need a Reckless Rage to get there. I don't end up finding one, which sucked, but, you know, it happens. Stuff happens, things die. And in this game, like, I didn't find a removal spell, I didn't find much going on, they put me super low, they have this oven with a Cauldron, so I died. So that was that game. Game 3. And when I saw this hand, I was like, fuck. This hand is not good. But it was a 6. I felt obligated to keep it, and it wasn't that terrible. And I make a play where I decided to go Swift Spear on 1 attack. I think most of the time, out of the things they're going to do, they're not going to push my Swift Spear on 1 if they have multiple options. Especially, like, in that situation. So I'm like, alright, I'm going to go ahead and play this on 1. I'm probably not going to get punished. And if they thought sees me and they take this, I'm still out of gas. So it's not like it really changes much. So I keep it. I decided to top the Reckless Rage. I wasn't sure. I was so confused on what I want to do with this card, to be honest. I should do a bottom it, top it, because I'm thinking I want to land so I can go Virtuoso into... Like, Virtuoso into Hold Up God's Willing, but I just felt like I needed it. That was where I was with this, where I didn't really... I felt like I really needed this Reckless Rage. I can't really explain why, but... I just was like, damn, I need this card. So I kept it, and it was good this game, I believe. So in this position... This was actually a position where I may have fucked up. So I wanted to go, obviously, I want to go Arcanist this turn, right? That's the best way to really pull ahead. But if I'm going to go Arcanist this turn, do I really just attack another Unlucky Witness and give them 2 looks at a way to kill it? Or land, they need to, like, play their 3-drop or whatever the fuck? I don't know. I really don't know if I was supposed to do this. It might have been better to say, yeah, screw it, I'm going to go ahead and, not let them have this, because the thing that I was mainly like scared is that they had a Deadly Dispute and that their hand was kind of a bit dead, I guess. So I'm like, all right, I can solve that by killing this Unlucky Witness if they even want to block, right? The problem is if they have Deadly Dispute, they just don't block, and that's which isn't even that much of a problem because that means they get an extra damage in, which damage matters, right? So it's not like it's a terrible thing, and if they block, it's just kind of not fantastic. Where I'm just giving them more looks at a way to kill my Arcanist. when I need this to live 1 turn cycle. Like, I need this to live 1 turn cycle. And I was like, okay, shit. I think I might have not been supposed to do this. And I'm not getting punished that hard. They hit 2 lands and then just go Blood Tithe, which is pretty much best case scenario. Obviously, if they had nothing, it would have been best, but... So now I'm in a spot where I don't really have to do much, I believe. I just go cast here, Reckless Rage here, because they clearly have jack shit. So I'm like, okay, because I think they're killing their Arcanist 9 times out of 10 if they had something. So I'm like, okay, they had the Clint, so they could have had to claim the first one last turn. So I'm just going to go ahead and cast this on here. If I draw a land, that's fantastic. If not, still, whatever. I just go Reckless Rage, deal a bunch of damage, make a giant Hoplite, and then they have to kill a lot of things in order to actually get back into this game. So I end up drawing a Monstrous Rage, which works out pretty well for following turns. So they sack their thing. Obviously, there's no reason not to in this position. They drop to 9. And then go Deadly Dispute. So they might have had... It looks like they might have had Deadly Dispute, but they just wanted to find something. And then they play a bunch of cards. They play a bunch of cards, but they didn't play enough cards, because this is not enough to stop what I have in my hand, and I have exactly lethal. So yeah, that was the game versus Racksack. They got a bit unlucky in terms of, like... I didn't get that unlucky. They just drew a Fatal Push and tried to push my thing. The thing about Heroic is that you're obviously unfavored in these kind of matchups, but my opponent didn't even have to get that unlucky in order for me to punish him this hard. They just had to get a little bit unlucky and only draw like 1 Fatal Push in the top 16 cards, which is, you know, if they have like 7 removal spells in their deck, it's not that unlikely. And even then, there were ways that I could have, like, I maybe could have beat him anyways through this. Obviously, this would have been a bit rough, but, you know, there's things that can happen in those matchups. And then here was my game versus Claudio in the semis. This one is a demonstration. So I showed you the earlier blue-white game where things kind of happened. Obviously, my opponent knows what they're doing, and it's going to make it a bit harder, but this matchup is not bad at all. This matchup's pretty good for Heroic, and I think this match is a pretty good demonstration of why it's very good for Heroic. This draw right here is like the dream. If I had a God's Willing, I'd be so happy, but I have mana to do everything I want to do, plus 2 Legionnaires. This card is so nuts versus them. It allows you to put pressure on them while not, like, exposing them to anything. So I think they go tap, and I just go Jam Legionnaire. No reason not to. I go ahead and play my Battlefield Forge because the life total is irrelevant. I want to make sure that I have the right mana sources. And then they have Get Lost, which is perfectly fine with me. And then I just go Legionnaire Anger. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't even know if this was good or not. I think I might have been supposed to just go Hoplite Crack both my maps. Or at least go Hoplite Crack a map. I remember I played this first game a bit weird in terms of how I sequenced my maps and my cantrips. Like, I think next turn I go Favored Hoplite Defiant Strike instead of Favored Hoplite Crack Map Defiant Strike, which was pretty shit. I don't remember exactly what happens here, but I just had to top the Swiss Spear, which is a pretty fantastic draw, considering I just burn my thing. And then they go Temp Lock. Oh no, they got March. They kill my thing. And then I go Hoplite and Defiant Strike instead of Map Defiant Strike for some reason. And I decided I wanted to keep this in case they had... Like, I felt like this was a reasonable keep. Like, I didn't want to ever send into a sweeper, and having a haster in my hand is perfect. So what I should have done this game is this game I should have just played the Hoplite instead of the Legionnaire. And then juice that up a little bit with the maps, and then pass the turn. That was what I was supposed to do. And also, I got really punished for the Defiant Strike I drew into this piece of garbage. I was supposed to just go Hoplite, load my dudes up, pass the turn. The turn after they do that, then I play my haster and start putting the pressure on with all my things. That was how I was supposed to play this game, but I didn't. And I obviously didn't get punished. I have a Legionnaire on top, but, you know, I very well could have been punished. They go ahead and make me shuffle away my Legionnaire, which I wasn't very sad about, considering that means they have no Wandering Emperor. And then I rip a God's Willing, which is perfect. And then I'm at a point where I'm just going to go ahead and add Gigantha, hold up God's Willing. And they're in trouble. They have to go Sweeper, and then even if they go Sweeper, I still have my Haster, I have Gigantha, I have a lot of options. And remember, I think they just, like, had jack shit this game, is what ended up happening. And then Homestead Courage is perfect. I can play around everything. I think this would have just should have been lethal. Yeah, it was just lethal here. And then they see this, and then they go... They think God's Willing is 2 telegraphs, so they go ahead and go Wandering Emperor minus to make it 2/2. And then I go ahead and, because, you know, they can minus... They actually can't minus to kill this. Or they could have minus to kill this. And they decided it was better to make a 2/2 block here. but I had got some protection, whatever. So yeah, this game, they didn't really have too much going on for them. But if I made the play earlier where I said I go favorite hoplite into this and this game would have been free. Like it would have actually just been unlosable, I think, from my position. I think like with the way that it played out, if I had just gone hoplite, cracked some maps, I would have been in a good spot. But I didn't do that, and it made the game a bit more awkward for me, where I had a bunch of weird lands. I had to go for the Giganta. Luckily, they didn't really have much. Like, they didn't have an answer for this on the couple turns where they could have. But, yeah. And then game 2 was a slaughter. This was not even close. This was one of the most fun games I've had in a while, because it's a game where if I win, I'm locked for $2,000, and I wanted $2,000. And I'm playing a matchup versus a good player. I'm like, oh, frick, let's see what happens. This hand's terrible. It doesn't do anything. And this hand is pretty good. It's not, like, crazy good, but it's alright. So Castle Ardenvale tells me a little bit about their hand. You know, maybe he's struggling on lands a tiny bit, but not a crazy amount. Because they could just have something like Island Field of Ruin. But the mana might be a bit awkward. I just say, fuck it, cast Monstrous Rage here. And, yeah, I guess that's alright. I didn't want to expend into Sweeper, but I still wanted to put pressure on. It's possible they had March, but I also wanted to, like, I could still bluff God's Willing. I think they have... Okay, they cycle Shark Typhoon for 0. And then now, because I have this Showdown, I don't really care if they go untap Sweeper, because I can just go untap Showdown, because they can't counter my Showdown. And I just go Monstrous Rage on my Swift Spear. Fuck it. And then they have a March, I think. Yeah. So it ends up getting nuked. And they go untap Wandering Emperor minus, and then as I said, now my thing resolves for free. I decided to not Legionnaire, which I still agree with because I just needed that to resolve. It's the main thing. And he is clearly dead, if that's his play. This play reads, I am completely fucked. And then I just go play a bunch of hasty guys. I go Spikefield on my guy to buff it up a bit. I see... No, I don't see it yet, but I draw Showdown for next turn. And then now I still have this Legionnaire in my hand, plus the ability to add Giganta. And they clearly have jack shit, besides maybe a Farewell, and they had a Farewell. So, bye-bye. I draw to Fine Strike, which is perfect. Into that, which is also perfect. Hit him to 5. And Showdown. And yeah, I saw the Lawrence Escape, which is very good. And then, obviously, they can still block. It's not game over yet, but... And this Lawrence Escape is kind of dead in this position, so I decided to go ahead and cast it to Scry a little bit. And I Scry 2 deadlines to the bottom. And then they go ahead and just animate this, I guess, and... a bit of looting. I guess they feel that maybe they need to find some more action. Keep the fairy on top, and then I draw Gas Lost for lethal. Or it's not definitively lethal, but if I show it on into untap land plus like any reasonable spell, they're dead. And I do. So, yeah, that was this tournament pretty much. So here's the thing. I don't think I played fantastic or anything. I think I played like slightly above average, but a lot of things could have been cleaned up, for sure. That first game versus Blewett in this match was atrocious. What else? What else? First monoblock, I didn't fuck anything up that I really remember too much. I actually do like that one play I made where I decided to keep both 10th districts. Versus red-black, I don't remember there being any super weird spots. There was a weird spot with the favorite Hoplite Reckless Rage, but that ended up winning me the game, so... And I think it was correct. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just... I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I guess you can win tournaments while being on kind of autopilot, but it's kind of like I'm thinking about all the things that I could have done better, and it's kind of ridiculous that I can play that sloppy and win this, and then I played equally sloppy in the challenge and I won that. Like, this deck is just so powerful. It's ridiculously powerful. Where is this? My stupid list. There you go. Like, it's just... It does so many things and you have so much flexibility. As someone who actually knows what they're doing takes this up, you know, like, there's so many percentage points to be gained from those games that I played, and I was still able to win. Just because of how powerful this deck is. Yeah, so I guess it's a reminder to everybody that, honestly, just go rewatch your own games. Because I didn't feel like I played particularly well in this tournament, but I didn't really realize there were a couple things that were definitely... They stood out to me as like, holy shit, this would have been like very big in terms of how much it impacted the game. Like, my play versus Phoenix honestly probably should have lost me the match there by me not playing my thing a bit later, but I drew out of it. There were a lot of... Obviously, in that tournament, you probably saw, like, oh, he's in like a kind of a weird spot, like in a 50-50-ish spot, and then he draws a heroic spell and kills his opponent. Like, you know, obviously that's great, but you do need like some amount of luck to win tournaments, period. So, you know, I don't feel like that was anything too crazy. You know, sometimes I drew Monstrous Rages or Homestead Courages instead of like some random dog shit. But, you know, I've played this deck a lot. I've drawn lots of random dog shit, so trust me, it happens. You're going to lose some games to it. But luckily, you know, this week I didn't lose very many games to that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. Just make sure to go back and look at your games. Think about everything that could have happened. Because there's lots of things to learn. And for those who watched, thanks for tuning in. Thanks. I'll see you later.